as we get closer to the end, the truth will become more and more precious, and the people that hold it will have a great responsibility, because the world will reject what they have to say, persecute, hunt them down, and kill them. These truths are hard, and it takes a certain kind of person led by God to bring these truths to the surface. So choose you this day whom ye will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Welcome. So this is a pre-intro, and I just wanted to add this because this video got long. But I wanted to tell you guys to watch this whole video. There is nothing in here that I share that you do not need to know. And you do need to know everything in here. This is a warning from God, so please receive it. You must know what I'm trying to show you. The beast system is rising and everyone is distracted. So please watch till the end. I put the decode at the very end and you don't want to miss it. Okay? I crack the deception of this movie wide open. And of course, as always, all glory to God. So here is the original intro. Hey guys, so I'm just going to start off by saying it's probably pretty safe to say that I will be making no friends with this video. But as I serve God and not man, that's okay with me. As long as I do the will of the Father, what will be, will be. Now, I was working on my 1984 video, and I've got quite a bit of research into it. But during prayer time this morning, the Lord pulled me aside from that project and put me on this project, which will be talking about the sound of freedom and why it's a psyop. Now, before I get too in depth, I will tell you that I have seen this movie. I did not go to the theater. I would not contribute money to this thing, but I have seen it, and we'll just leave it at that. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Everything that I've been showing you in the movies with the numbers and the hidden things and the warnings and the Apollo symbolism, this movie was loaded. I know a lot of you out there think that this is a good Christian movie to expose a very dark thing. And I would have to agree with you if I could not see from the 1,000-foot view of what it's really up to. What it is doing is causing divisiveness. Nowhere in the movie does it mention Satanism. Nowhere in the movie does it mention what they're harvesting from these children. Nowhere in the movie does it show you how high up the ladder this goes. And I'm going to take you through a deep dive into the makers of this movie, the people who star in this movie, the people who this movie is about. And when I am done showing you everything that I have to show you, including a massive decode that I did of the movie itself, you are going to have a different opinion. Now keep in mind, I am not saying that I am against exposing this darkness. Obviously, my whole channel is dedicated to exposing darkness. But that's not what they're doing. They're showing just enough to rile up the troops, okay? This is like a Q psyop. This is like a Trump MAGA psyop. It's to rile up the two sides against each other. Because divided, we fall. This is a political move. This movie was made and finished 5 years ago. And its strategic release on Independence Day is no accident. If you've been following my channel for any amount of time, then you will know all about how 1776 is a spell, how July 4th is a spell, okay, because 888 and 888 is 1776. This is a portal into this new belief system that America is a newfound land, home of the free, home of the brave, and they give us this narrative and we believe it and we think that's the history, but it's not. Understand, we have been lied to, and everything you think you know about this country, unless it has been shown to you by the Lord or people that are truly of the Lord, speaking the Lord's truth, then it's a lie. History literally says his story, as in the God of this world, Satan. And what you're not noticing is while all this hype is going on, back and forth, left to right, these guys are pushing this conspiracy, these guys are pushing this conspiracy, the divide is widening, the arguments are getting louder, and all the while the government is slipping things through the cracks behind the scenes that are going to enslave humanity. So, while everyone is arguing about the sound of freedom from their own side, what's really happening is the sound of freedom is slipping away and no one's even paying attention. Fed now, CBDCs. This is what people should be paying attention to. This is the time to stand against this stuff, but nobody even knows about it. Less than 20% of people in this country even know what's happening with CBDCs. Less than 20%. This is the beast system, the one world currency, the central bank of the central bank coins. This is going to be the end of freedom and the beginning of world domination by a one world leader. Understand that this is a psyop, okay? It's a psyop, and this in no way is a Christian-themed movie. Jim Caviezel is a devout Catholic who worships the Pope and Mary. The movie was made by Catholics and Mormons, both of which are Luciferians and stand against God. They have their own form of Jesus, but he is a false Christ. So, this movie is not made of God, believe that. And it only speaks about children going from Mexico to South America, when a huge part of the problem is kids coming from Mexico into America. But they don't even mention that. There's so many things that are not in this movie that should have been in this movie if they really wanted to make a difference. If you want to make a difference about something, you tell the truth. But there's no truth here, only narrative. And there is more hidden stuff in this movie than I see coming out of Hollywood. And that's no lie. God put this on my heart for a reason. And when I started studying and reading all about this movie, reading the articles, and I've been keeping up on all the YouTube videos going on about it for over the last month before it was even released. They started doing YouTube promos, selling pre-sale tickets. Let me tell you what's happening with these pre-sale tickets. Understand, Fed coin is coming up, alright? Fed now, the government coin, this whole central bank coin system is coming. And what everybody who just pre-bought tickets to this movie, and I'm going to show you, there's almost 10 million tickets sold, they all just gave their names, their addresses, their credit card information, their phone numbers to get these tickets. So now the government has a list of all dissenters and troublemakers and Christians that are going to stand against what they're going to push forward. This was a honey trap, and millions upon millions upon millions of people have fallen into it. And I'm going to show you everything I'm talking about. You're going to want to see this because the darkness is coming over us. Don't think that just because this movie was produced by a company called Angel Studios that it's a good thing. Have you ever heard of the fallen angels? Are they good? So how can we make that choice? We have to test the fruit. You will know them by their fruit. And I am going to uncover all this stuff for you, coming right up. So stay tuned. And if this message is bothering you so far, if you think that this is going to be a great movie, I will just say to you, listen, watch this video with an open mind and leave your preconceived notions at the door. Hear what I'm saying to you. See what I'm going to show you and take it in without judgment. Take it in. And then, after I've shown you everything, then you can meditate on all this information and make up your mind. I get a lot of comments from people who want me to just be nice and tickle their ears. Well, I hate to say this, as much as I love to have viewers, I will say this: I am on a mission from God, to serve God and not man. I'm not here to tickle ears or make anybody feel better about the position in life they're in. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to warn people, to help save souls. You don't save souls with cupcakes. Okay? If my message is too hard, then you're on the wrong channel. This is called Hard Truths. There is channels with a big comfy couch, if that's what you're looking for. But you're not going to find that here. And I'm not going to change who I am and what I'm doing because some commenters can't deal with it. Now, I know I got a lot of good viewers out there, and I appreciate all you guys. So, with that being said, let's get on with the show. So, I will say that I am having a hard time figuring out where I should begin, because I have so much to show you. But I guess the most important thing to show you, to get you started on this journey with me, is why this Psyop is even happening. And this is why it's happening. Because the Federal Reserve is laying the groundwork, and has been laying the groundwork, for a CBDC, the Fed coin, or Fed Now, as they have termed it. So you can see here that it says the Federal Reserve announces July launch. Okay, this is from March 15th. So I'm just going to show you a few key points that I think are important to know. And then we'll get into the movie, who funded the movie. We're going to learn all about the people who the movie's about. We're going to cover every aspect of this thing. We're going to cover the left's opinion. We're going to cover the right's opinion. We're going to see what's really happening here. And we're going to cover more of the Fed coin, and I will be decoding this movie. And you do not want to miss this. So I would just say try to stay tuned for this whole thing, because every single piece of this puzzle matters. So the Federal Reserve announced that the FedNow service will start operating in July and provide details on preparations for launch. The first week of April, the Federal Reserve will begin the formal certification of participants for launch of the service. Early adopters will complete a customer testing and certification program informed by feedback from the FedNow pilot program to prepare for sending live transactions through the system. So in April, they started laying the groundwork for what is now happening. All right? In June, the Federal Reserve and certified participants will conduct production validation activities to confirm readiness for the July launch. I would suggest that you do your due diligence and research this. I'm not going to cover every aspect of FedNow, but I am going to cover the importance of it, because this is the rise of the beast system, and nobody's even paying attention. I would suggest that you read about it and learn about it for yourself and study it for yourself. I will show you enough to inform you and make you nervous, but I would suggest that you do your own digging, because you don't learn as much hearing someone talk about something as you do from actually digging into it. In June, the Federal Reserve and certified participants will conduct production validation activities to confirm readiness for the July launch. So that's very important to understand, that it's being launched in July. In March, the launch date was slated for the beginning of July. Why is that important? Because that's the same time Sound of Freedom came out. And before Sound of Freedom came out, the pre-sale videos started flooding YouTube. And I'm going to show you that too. We're not going to watch them. I'm just going to show you all the videos that are on YouTube, which I find rather ironic, because the right is saying that this movie is being censored. However, it is all over right and left-hand media stations, and YouTube has not censored one of these videos promoting it. And we all know that even my little tiny channel gets shadow banned for saying a wrong word. But these guys can come on here and talk about this horrific activity and nothing is done. That should tell you everything you need to know. This is a Psyop. Now let me stress once again, I do not promote these activities. Of course I am against anything evil. It would be better that they have a millstone tied around their neck and be thrown into the sea. And I'm all for that. What I'm telling you is that this has underlying evil intentions. Okay? This is Satan's world. And these people are actors. They can act good. They can act bad. The Bible tells us that even Satan's angels can come as angels of light, and they will fool and deceive many. So let's scroll down a little bit further, because here's some key features you need to understand. They are promoting this as an instant payment system. You can see right here. Montgomery noted that availability of the service is just the beginning, and growing the network of participating financial institutions will be key to increasing the availability of instant payments for consumers and businesses across the country. All right, this is what they're telling you, that it's for instant payments. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure cash is an instant payment. I'm pretty sure that the cards that we use right now are good enough for an instant payment. Why does it need to be faster? These are questions you need to ask yourself. And it tells you right here that they need to grow the network. So now is the time to stand against this. Now is the time to go into your bank and refute this. Now is the time. And it has been the time. But nobody knows it because everybody's talking about this movie. And now the conversation about the movie's winding down a little bit. So now Jim Caviezel's buddy, Mel Gibson, is talking about Hollywood and Oprah Winfrey. And here comes another wave. And this stuff is just going to keep going. And everybody's going to be so caught up in what's going on in Hollywood and this exposure. And who cares if Oprah gets canceled? She's a billionaire. Do you really think it's going to affect her? I mean, seriously, this is ridiculous. The FedNow service will launch a robust set of core clearing and settlement functionality with value-added features. Now here's the key. More features and enhancements will be added in the future releases to continue supporting safety, resiliency, and innovation in the industry as the FedNow network expands in the coming years. Okay, this is telling you that it's programmable. It's going to change. So even if they tell you right now that, oh, this is going to be great and it's going to help you and we can't shut your money off, okay? Keep in mind that this is programmable, which means that at any point in the future, they can make any change they want, and nothing that they said in the past is going to hold water. With the FedNow service, the Federal Reserve is creating a leading-edge payment system that is resilient, adaptive, and accessible, okay? Adaptive. That means it's going to change. They're telling you it's going to change. People need to pay attention. This is the beast system. This is how people are going to be enslaved. Revelation 13, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. This is the system that is rising. How do you think that they are going to be able to stop you from buying stuff unless you have the mark? Well, it has to be a digital system, does it not? You can buy stuff with cash without the mark, but if everything is digital and everything is monitored on a blockchain, which literally means slavery, then how are you going to buy anything without this mark? You can't. This is why the people of God are to choose death over the mark. You cannot take this thing. You cannot. You will be damned, regardless of what anybody else says. I'm telling you right now, if you take the mark, you're damned. And this is the system that is being built right now. This is what we're watching. The beginning of Revelation 13 is coming to pass right now before our very eyes. And everybody is talking about the sound of freedom. And nobody is talking about the sound of slavery. If we scroll down a little further, you can see that this is what they're trying to tell you. Individuals will be able to send and receive instant payments at any time of day, and recipients will have full access to funds immediately, giving them greater flexibility to manage their money and make time-sensitive payments. We can do this right now, okay? This is already available. Access will be provided through the Federal Reserve FedLine network, which serves more than 10,000 financial institutions directly or through their agents. So banks are going to have to get on board with this, or they are going to go out of business. I will warn you right now, you are going to want to have cash on hands. If all of your money is in a bank, then you need to get a healthy chunk of cash out and put it in a safe in your home or hide it somewhere in your home. You're going to want to have cash because that will help you sustain, because banks are going to stop giving cash out soon. Please hear this warning. And this is what the sound of freedom is doing, is it is blinding people to what is happening right now with FedNow. So let's cover a little bit about this movie, and as I said, we are going to cover left-hand media and right-hand media. So we're going to have to read between the lines and see what's really happening. We can gain a perspective if we look at this stuff with the Lord's discernment. So this is Vanity Fair. Sound of Freedom, the wild true story behind 2023's most controversial film. So I've highlighted some things in this article. I'm not going to read the whole thing, all right? But I will leave links to these websites in the description. I will try to remember. I say that a lot and I often forget to do it, but I will do my best to try to remember to leave these links so that you can read it if you want to. Let's scroll and see what we can come up with. So when I get into the decode, these are the two guys who are going to be posing as doctors. As you can see here, Jim Caviezel is dressed like a UN doctor. See, he's got his little caduceus symbol right here. So when I get to the decode, which you're not going to want to miss, believe me, it will blow your mind. I'm not even joking. These are going to be the two guys who go as doctors. As I'm not going to show you any clips from the movie, I'm not going to have any pictures from the movie, I'm just going to tell you what was in the movie. And if you've seen it or you're going to see it, then you will see what I'm telling you. I'm avoiding using this movie because I know I'll get copyright strikes. So, this movie, which is a crowdfunded movie, which they say that they're poor and can barely afford to put this movie out, which is a complete lie, and I'll show you that as well. So what is the Jim Caviezel-led action drama Sound of Freedom exactly? Which has made a surprising amount of money since its release on July 4th. Now, as I said in my intro, July 4th, this is a spell, a portal. It's a portal. It's bringing you in to this Psyop. Okay? A portal doesn't mean that you have to be, like, teleported somewhere. What a demonic portal is it brings you into a state of mind. It gets you to feel and react on your feelings. So, when I say that this is a portal, it's bringing you in to this mindset that they want you to be in, so that you're not paying attention to what's going on behind the scenes.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
It's like a, look, something shiny, or look there, not here, sleight of hand. So as we all know, or as some of us know, that July 4th, 1776 is a gigantic spell to get us to believe in America. So when this came out on July 4th, it was to create this portal, which this spell has already been set up. Everybody's already into this July 4th spell. America is under this spell. God's people are not, but America is. And so when this was released on July 4th, people automatically, the patriots, the Christians who are churchianity people and have no relationship with the true Jesus, fall right into this portal. They just fall right in. They have no discernment whatsoever, and they're pre-affected by this date in general. So they're asking what this movie's all about. Is it a moving true story about a real American hero? I love this one. Is it a dangerous gateway? What's a gateway? Yeah, that's a portal into misinformation and conspiracy. Now here, they're telling you the truth, but every patriot will hate this line. Every lukewarm Christian will hate this line because they'll say, it's not a conspiracy, it's not misinformation. But it is a dangerous gateway into misinformation and conspiracy because they're getting you to not pay attention to what's really important. Okay, this movie's going to do nothing to end this horrific activity. This movie will do nothing to help any of those children. All this movie's doing is making the people who starred in it and made it rich. That's all it's doing. Okay, because the left and the right are arguing over it, which means that it is a psyop. This is made to confuse us, to make us look over there and not back there.
The great Oz has spoken.
So this director says that he sat down to write the movie in 2017. 2017. Okay, that's the year of Q. This is when Q became popular in 2017. 17 is Q, for Q is the 17th letter of the alphabet. And we all know that Q is the serpent. Okay, I'm gonna be talking about a lot of stuff. If you haven't been watching my channel, I'm not gonna go in and explain all this stuff. Go back and watch the previous videos. I would say go back, I don't know, a few months and just start watching the videos, and you will start to gain an understanding about what all this stuff means. Alright, let's scroll. As I said, I got a lot to cover and not a lot of time. So this guy, Tim Ballard, this is who Jim Caviezel plays. This guy is a founder of a non-profit called Operation Underground Railroad. Okay, and he claims to have a role in child driving. As a matter of fact, he is portrayed as like a one-man army. Okay, but he is not. This guy uses child driving to raise funds for a non-profit. He does not invest this money into child driving or anything like that. So, again, do some research before you just lift these people up on high. Here's Tim Ballard. This is who this movie's about. This is a psyop. He is a psyop. Okay? He's a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This is the Mormons. Okay? This is a Luciferian religion. I will just tell you, study it yourself. I'm going to say a lot of things on here that are going to be controversial to the untrained ear. But people with the Lord's discernment and people that have been with my channel will completely get it. And if you don't completely get it, then go do research and see what I'm talking about. Alright? So this is one of the controllers of our country. The Church of the Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. You want to see what kind of effect the Mormons have on this country? Let me show you what they got their hands in. What company does Mormon Church own in 2023? They own JetBlue Airways, SkyWest Airlines, Black & Decker, Marriott Hotels, City Creek Center, Desiree News, Polynesian Cultural Center, Beehive Clothing, Beehive, like Hive Mind. It gets so much worse. Bonneville International, the Pacific Business News, Hawaii Reserves, Property Reserves Inc., Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet, Amazon. Look at the list, you guys. Intel, Johnson & Johnson, Visa, Meta, JP Morgan Chase, United Health, Farmland. You guys, these are the companies that control this country. And he is a member of the Church of Latter-day Saints. Pick up what I'm putting down. He has briefed politicians on the issue of this event, including President Donald Trump in January 2019. January is 1 and 19 is 19, and together they make 119. Pick up what I'm putting down. These are put on here for a reason. Wikipedia is his story, Satan's story, the narrative they want us to have. Ballard trained an Imperial County Sheriff's Office personnel in the use of data mining software that led to the arrest of a man suspected of distributing this stuff. So, his training led to the arrest, not conviction. And anybody can be arrested for anything. You could be arrested for a ham sandwich. It doesn't mean it's going to stick. Arrested of a man suspected of. Suspected. So this is the most vague thing ever. Was he convicted? I doubt it, because it would say that it led to the conviction of a man guilty of distributing. You have to pay attention to the wording used. In 2019, Ballard was appointed to the White House Public-Private Partnership Advisory Council to end human driving, I'm going to call it. The council was terminated as required by enabling legislation on September 30th, 2020. So in 2019, he was appointed, but in 2020, it was terminated. How interesting. So that was pointless. We're going to learn a little bit more about his Underground Operation Railroad, or Operation Underground Railroad, so don't worry. So let's cruise on. Ballard had long been seeking a wider platform for his hour's activities. So he is, now remember, this is a fundraising 501c3 nonprofit, non-taxable money-raising platform, which he keeps the proceeds of. In 2013, he and a group of filmmakers sought funding from conservative political commentator Glenn Beck for a reality series that would depict the rescue of these driving children. So he reached out to Glenn Beck to give him a broader platform to raise more money. Well, who's Glenn Beck? Well, this is Glenn Beck. He's a radio talk show host, an American conservative political commentator, radio host, entrepreneur, and television producer. He's the CEO, founder, and owner of Mercury Radio Arts, the parent company of his television and radio network, The Blaze. Well, what else can we find out about Glenn Beck? Beck was raised a Roman Catholic and attended the Immaculate Conception Catholic School in Mount Vernon. Okay, we know that Catholics are Luciferians. Beck and his sister moved in with their mother to Sumner, Washington, attending a Jesuit school. The Jesuits are the military arm of the Catholic Church. Okay, this would be the Rosicrucians, the Knights Templar, the Black Pope, the Antichrist serving Pope, who is the Pope that is seated right now. He is a Jesuit. Investigate Jesuits if you don't know about them. Let's scroll down further. In 1999, there's your 666. Beck married his second wife, Tanya. After they went looking for a faith on a church tour together, they joined the Church of Latter-day Saints in October 1999. So they joined a different Luciferian church in October of 666. So that's who Glenn Beck is. Some of the members of the production team made a documentary about Ballard, released in 2016 and called The Abolitionist, that gave Ballard even more mainstream legitimacy. Soon he was speaking at organizations like Google. Well, Google is Googlecifer. We know that this is Lucifer's company, and that if it was against anything that Lucifer is for, then Google would not be having him speak there in 2016, which is 88. So understand, you have to read between the lines. These left-leaning, hardcore left-leaning, and I'm not saying the right's any different, I'm just saying that the hardcore left-leaning people wouldn't even take part in this. They wouldn't even hear this. Okay? But according to Aaron Albright, an attorney and longtime advisor to Anti-Trafficking Task Force, Ballard and Auer aren't actually central to the international fight against human driving. The majority of the anti-driving field views them as fringe. She tells me they peddle sensationalism and they fundraise off it. Now, I can tell you that I've been researching this, and this is completely true. In 2018, there's your 666, when Montverde was making the movie, his critics weren't part of the conversation. I love this line. I never in a million years imagined this would be political. What a crock. They knew exactly what it was going to do. This is why they waited until 2023 to release the film 5 years after completion. Sound of Freedom was independently produced for a reported $14.5 million and financed mainly by a group of Mexican backers, according to the filmmakers. Tell me, why would Mexican backers back a film which portrayed Mexicans as the problem? As I said in the intro, this movie only shows kids being taken from Mexico down to South America, into Colombia, and into the jungles. That's it. So why would Mexican backers support this film if it was going to portray them in a bad light? They wouldn't, unless the movie doesn't portray them in a horrible light, because it picks a few people who look a certain way, who are not big cartel members or government officials, and it just picks some, like, I don't want to categorize anybody, but I'll just say the atypical scum of the earth kind of people, you know, with the stained up wife beaters and the greasy hair, and they haven't showered for a week, and that's who it portrays, these people, as being the ones who are causing the problem, so to speak. I can tell you that Satan loves to throw things in your face, and Satan's people also like to put things in your face, and they like to brag about it. And I'm going to show you who some of these Mexican backers are. But like many other projects, the film lost its distributor when Disney acquired 20th Century Fox in 2019. So here's a psyop about why the movie didn't come out until later. Sound of Freedom remained on the shelf until it was picked up by Provo, Utah-based Angel Studios in 2023 with a plan to release the film in theaters around the country. Several critical things happened in the years between the film's wrap and its arrival in theaters. In a series that kicked off in 2020, Vice journalists Anna Merlin and Tim Marchman began a probe of Ballard an Hour, discovering a pattern of image burnishing and mythology building, a series of exaggerations that are, in the aggregate, quite misleading. In a subsequent report, they alleged that Ballard and his organization had engaged in blundering missions carried out in part by real estate agents and high-level donors that seemed aimed mainly at generating exciting video footage. Ballard has not yet responded to Vanity Fair's request for comment, though a representative from Angel Studios initially proposed an interview with Ballard. They later said they were unable to reach him to arrange a meeting. So another purpose of this movie, as I said, is to divide, to widen the divide. This is where they're pushing the right and calling it a conspiracy theory. So they're trying to make this look like it's a stupid belief, and if you believe in this stuff, then you're dumb. The reports were widely read and shared, but were reviled as often as they were praised. That's because of a second development. The QAnon set of conspiracy theories, which originated in 2017 and gradually gained notice by the mainstream in the ensuing years. So we all know that Q was a psyop to convince the sleeping right that they were awake, when they're actually asleep. They've been incepted. You ever seen the movie Inception? Okay? That's what that movie was about. Convincing people they're awake when they're actually asleep. The movement's core falsehood, as the New York Times puts it, asserts that a group of Satan-worshipping elites who run a that word ring are trying to control our politics and media. Okay, that's not a lie. And I'm not saying that Q is true. I'm just telling you, you gotta read between the lines. There's truth mixed in with lies to confuse and blur the lines to further divide people. Because the right and the left are the right and the left. You're either on one side or the other. The conversation to baseless theories about who they believe is doing the driving, a cabal of nefarious elites that includes these people: Tom Hanks, Oprah Winfrey, and Pope Francis. Okay? Who is the narrative being shifted to right now? Oprah Winfrey. Who was the villain when the Q was talking about what was happening and blaming? It was Tom Hanks. And here is the Pope, who is also part of this stuff. So understand, there is truth in here mixed in. And who is blowing up Oprah's spot? None other than Mel Gibson. You see how all these things are tied together? These people are actors and they are playing a role. Caviezel has had his Q-pilled awakening. Yeah, because he serves the serpent. Okay, I'm going to show you. As a matter of fact, let me show you right now. Here is Jim Caviezel fawning over the Pope, worshiping a man against the biblical teachings. Look at him. You guys, you can't make this stuff up. As a matter of fact, let's just cover Jim Caviezel right now, because I'm sure you all think he's such a good Christian man doing the Passion of Christ and whatnot. I shouldn't say you all, but I know some of you out there do think that. So I'm going to show you right now. Born September 26th. That's 2 6s. 6 and 6. And September is 9, which is also 6. So there's your triples. He played in the Passion of the Christ in 2004. He played the Savior Jesus Christ. 2004. 19 years later, he played a human savior in The Sound of Freedom. This is a Metonic cycle. Okay, this is spell work, you guys. I hope you can hear. I know this is going to be a hard message for people because people are so blinded by this world and its deceptions. But I'm going to show you things, and you can't argue them, really. The only way you cannot see it is if you have no understanding and you have no discernment. But I have shown what a Metonic cycle is. I have shown all these things, that this is spell work, okay? This is a cycle. Here he's the Savior. Here he's the Savior. This is a cycle, 19 years apart. That's not an accident. His surname is Romanosh, which I found interesting, which you can look into if you want. I haven't. He started acting in 1991. This is a mirror year. It's a reflection of itself. Meta. Okay? He played Black John, a Missouri's bushwhacker, in Ride with the Devil in 1999. So he played Black John in the year 666 in a movie called Ride with the Devil. Sounds like a very Christian movie. Now get this. Caviezel portrayed Jesus Christ in Mel Gibson's 2004 film The Passion of the Christ. During filming, he was struck by lightning. You know why? Because this is a false Christ. This is a deception. He's leading people into deception. I saw Satan as lightning fall from heaven, Jesus said. And Caviezel was struck by lightning during the filming of The Passion of the Christ. What does that tell you? Are you just going to write it off as an accident? Or are you going to trust the power of God? He was accidentally scourged, and his shoulder was dislocated and suffered from pneumonia and hypothermia. All these attacks came over him while filming this movie. I'm sure some of you are going to say, yeah, that was the devil attacking him because he was doing a good Christian thing. Wake up. Wake up. That's all I have to say to you. Wake up. He's not even a Christian. I just showed you him bowing down to the Pope. Caviezel is a devout Catholic who I've shown in many different ways. Go watch the Legions of Lucifer video I put out, or my second to last video, the name escapes me right now, and you will see that Catholics are Luciferians. Okay, that means they're not Christians. Caviezel talked about the importance of his Catholic faith and his devotion, special devotion to the Virgin Mary. He worships idols. He is a Luciferian. He's not a Christian, you guys. People need to get this. Because if you put all these pieces of the puzzle together, and I will show you the producers of this movie as well. Here's one here. This is Neil Harmon, okay? The Harmon brothers own Angel Studios. So Neil Harmon is an entrepreneur along with his brother Jeff Harmon. They founded Angel Studios in 2021. One of Angel Studios' distribution platform projects is The Chosen, which is another false Christ. This is another show put on by Mormons and Catholics who are Luciferians. The Christian community is so lukewarm that they have no idea what the truth is. None. No discernment. None. The Harmon brothers are Mormons. This is the Mormon Wikipedia page. Let me show you. See here? Mormon Wiki. Neil Harmon. This is the Mormon Wikipedia page, you guys. This guy, owner and operator, along with his brothers, are Mormons. They are based out of Utah, which is a Mormon-run state. Budweiser has to make a special beer just for Utah because they have strict rules for the alcohol content in beer. Look into this stuff, you guys. I'm not making any of this stuff up. I never would, because I know that I have to answer to God for every word that comes out of my mouth. So I will never utter a falsity to you. If I am confused on something, I will retract it later on, but I'm telling you right now, I know all about Utah, and it's 100% a Mormon state. It is owned and operated by Mormons. It is their base. This is where the Luciferians chill. So, here you have Luciferian brothers. There's 4 of them. And they run and operate and own Angel Studios. Okay, so you have Mormons and Catholics who are in The Chosen. And I believe that there are some Jewish people involved with The Chosen as well, which are also Luciferians. So you got 3 groups of Luciferians taking part in The Chosen, and people think it's a Christian show. I watched a couple episodes of it, and I couldn't even continue watching. I didn't even get halfway through the first season because my discernment was on fire, and I knew that watching this show was wrong. Jesus has long hair. I mean, come on. It says right in the Bible that long hair is an abomination to God. Long hair on a man. Why would people think that Jesus had long hair? These things are beyond me. It's just a lack of Bible knowledge and a lack of discernment. Let's continue. So they keep talking about this harvesting from the children. I can't read this, so you'll have to look at the screen. And this chemical right here, when I get into the decode, I'm going to share something with you that is completely disturbing. But I got a lot more to cover and a little time to do it, so we're going to have to start cruising through this stuff. So here is a statement from Neil Harmon, CEO of Angel Studios. Now, listen carefully. With a self-stated mission to amplify light. Who is the bringer of light? Who is the light bearer? Yeah, Lucifer. And a business model based on crowd-funded projects. Do you realize that when you give your money to these people that you're supporting their cause and their belief system and you are connecting yourself to them? Angel Studios might seem an unlikely fit for a movie about something as dark and hopeless as sexual exploitation of you-know-who. But according to CEO Neil Harmon, it's a natural fit. Sound of Freedom is first and foremost a thrilling hero's tale. See? This is what it's about. It's a hero's tale. It's a thrilling hero's tale. Not it's about exposing this darkness. No, not that. It's about this hero. So that you can pay for this movie and be thrilled and feel like you're contributing to this thing and that your money's going to go somewhere. Ha! Wait till you see. According to Harmon, there's little difference between selling physical product like Squatty Potty, which is one of their products for another company they own, and selling seats for a movie. The seat selling strategy is arguably one of Sound of Freedom's most controversial elements. After Angel bought the film's distribution rights, the company added a call to action to its credits. It encourages patrons to help raise awareness of child driving. But instead of donating to anti-driving groups, or even directly to Ballard's efforts, patrons are asked to pay it forward by purchasing additional tickets for the film. They want you to purchase more tickets so they can make more money. They don't want you to support and donate to the anti-driving groups. They want you to buy more tickets. Then they claim this: we don't have big studio money to market this movie, but we have you. Okay, what a lie. You want to see? I'm going to show you. Here's an article from ChristianPost.com. Angel Studios receives $47 million investment to remake Hollywood. $47 million. Okay, I just highlighted that not because they received that much money, but because of the number, 47. That's spiritual possession. So let's scroll down and read this. In hopes of bringing control of the entertainment industry back to consumers and creators, GigaFund, the venture capital firm behind Elon Musk's company FakeX, has led to the financing of this ambitious venture. Neil and Jeffrey Harmon, founders of Angel Studios, have seen over $100 million in annual revenue in just 1 year after their Disney and Warner Brothers copyright infringement lawsuit ended. So they now make $100 million in annual revenue. But they don't have the money to put this movie out. They need you to support them. They need your money because they don't want to invest this $100 million a year, okay? They don't want to do that. They want your money, and it's up to you to give it to them. So don't. Harmon declined to share how much money Sound of Freedom has made from actual butts in seats, and how much has come from the pay-it-forward revenue, which is tracked by a separate sales platform. Of course it is. But as of today, Sound of Freedom has made over $100 million, far in excess of all expectations. Sound of Freedom's profits continue to grow week after week. Right, because it's a Psyop and it's working. Let's go take a look at this ticket sales. I clicked on, as you can see, Sound of Freedom. I clicked on just to see how much it was for a ticket. And you have ticket prices here. 12 for an adult, $9.75 for a child, $9.75 for a senior. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt, okay? Let's take the average of all three of these. 12.6 plus 9.75 plus 9.75 equals 321, and divide that by 3 to get the average. All right, so $10.70. Let's clear this out. $10.70. Here is how many tickets they've sold. Okay, but I want you to show you that this is a total scam. Watch this number. Right now it says 211. Now you can see here that it's saying a fan's buying the tickets, a fan's buying tickets, a fan's buying tickets. Watch how fast this is going by. Because they've already reached 489% of their goal, but they don't want you to stop buying, do they? So all these people are buying tickets, but it only has gone up one since I started talking about this. Watch all these tickets go by, and watch how slow this ticker goes up. See that? And some of these people are buying multiple tickets. Okay, they're not just buying one ticket. And it's gone up 2 since I started showing you this. Oh, this person paid it forward. See? This is the Psyop. Now remember, everybody's giving their information to buy these tickets. So now the government has all their information, and they're going to lock it in so that when this whole digital currency thing is kicking off, that they will be targeted. Their accounts, their addresses, their names, some of them will be rounded up as dissenters. This is full government control. This is the end times beast system. You're watching Revelation come true right now, and this movie is directly in opposition to people receiving that information and standing against it. Instead, they're bickering and arguing with the left and the right over this movie and Oprah Winfrey and Tom Hanks and Mel Gibson and blah, 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 and the Hollywood strike. And these people are demons. You don't get to be famous in this realm of Satan's unless you have a role to play. Believe that. So, let's take this number. Okay, we're going to take our 1070, right? 10.7. And we're just going to use their fake number, which they've sold way more than that. And we're going to multiply that by 9,779,217. All right, so just look and make sure my number's right. 9,779,217. It says 8 now, but this is close enough. And equals $104,637,621.90. Yeah, they need your money. Keep giving it to them. Keep giving it to them. This must be a real thing. I've shown you that they are completely lying to you. I've shown you who these people are. Here is what a survivor of driving says. It's a level of success that frustrates driving survivor Jose Alfaro. Alfaro hasn't seen the film, but he's familiar with Ballard and Hour. He tells me that narratives like Sound of Freedoms, which present driving as a result of napping that sends victims across borders, aren't really representative of how more commonly this crime actually happens. Merlin agrees, saying the movie contributes to the false perception that the problem of driving is best addressed by kicking down doors and carrying children out. Perhaps surprisingly, even Hour concedes this point. The group writes on its own website that while this type of human driving exists, it isn't the majority, and that most driving happens through a manipulative grooming process, not through the napping scenarios portrayed in the film. The film presents Ballard as practically a one-man army. In fact, Ballard left Hour prior to the launch of the film. So you can see, if this was really about a man who was really doing these things, why would he leave his own organization that he started to raise money so he could continue this fight on his own? But right before this film came out, He left his own company and has nothing to do with this stuff anymore. The group told Vice, though he was still with our as of May, when Davis County Attorney Troy Rawlings closed a years-long investigation into the organization. So they were under investigation. And you can find this stuff on YouTube. You can find this county attorney's meeting. You can find this. It's on there. Rawlings warned against people donating to organizations claiming credit for child protection cases solved by Utah's Davis County Task Force. Utah. Okay, all this stuff is coming out of Utah. This is all a big psyop, you guys, and they have been exposed, but people just don't do their due diligence. People don't research. They see, they hear, they trust. We are warned in the Bible not to trust man, to trust God. May God be true and every man a liar. So here's some more of the divide. Ballard sits shoulder to shoulder with Caviezel. The interview titled Transgender Movement and Biden's Border Policy Aid and Abet Child This. Ballard rails against the woke left agenda. Okay, see the divide. Divide and conquer. This week, former President Donald Trump is hosting a screening of the film. And Caviezel and Ballard and Eduardo are all going to be there at his Bedminster, New Jersey golf club. Here's the right-hand news. In a Fox News appearance last week, Ballard claimed outlets that have reviewed the film or its apparent politics unfavorably are trying to normalize this kind of activity with children, and declared that these people are salivating at the reviews that are anything less than positive. So, do you see what this paragraph says? I mean, do you actually see it? They are telling you that you have to give this movie good reviews or you are this thing. Because if you give it anything less than a positive review, then you are one of these that are salivating. Read between the lines. Hear what's being said. You're not allowed to speak against this show, this movie. That's why I said at the very beginning I'm going to make some enemies with this video. Because I'm speaking the truth. I'm not speaking against exposing this darkness. I'm speaking against this movie, which is not doing anything for anybody except the people who are involved in this movie. Period. That's it. I've shown you. There's no denying it. Even the own organizations the guy left. There's no denying it. Okay? Luciferian organizations put this together. And it was finished in 2018. Only to be released this year in the same month that this FedNow beast system is rising up to take control and put us all into financial slavery, where you cannot dissent, you cannot protest, you have no more voice. Believe me when I tell you that as soon as Kamala Harris comes in, the Constitution is going to be wiped out. It's going to be over. She is the whore of Babylon, and she is riding on top of the beast, and the beast system is rising, and her purpose is to destroy the Constitution and the freedoms of this country. And of course, Biden is playing a role. Trump's playing a role. They're all dividing us. We're all so busy fighting about what's right and what's wrong and whose side's right and this and that and the other thing that nobody is watching what they're actually doing. Telling you this is all a psyop. Here's some more politically charged statements. Potentially it's a recruitment tool for the far right. By the following Monday, he said he was being targeted by far-right media outlets and harassed on social media by users who told him through his work he'd outed himself as this thing. Because he stood against the movie. This is exactly what I was talking about. If you stand against this movie, you are this thing. These people say they care about driving. But at the end of the day, you're sitting there calling driving survivors this thing and drivers because they don't agree with the film. So I would say that driving survivors probably know best what driving is all about. Just wanted to show you this real quick. This is the Harmon brothers who own Angel Studios. There's 4 of them. This is their website. Let me show you here. See here, Harmon Brothers homepage. And I was just scrolling down, checking it out because they had a lot of things to do with defecation and poo. And I saw this, witch. And I saw this, want to see the magic behind rapid growth. See the magic. Here they tell you it's not witchcraft, which means it totally is. In 2018, 666, Keto Chow was doing 6 figures. Now they're pulling in the revenue in the mid-8. I just wanted to show you, these numbers show up everywhere. Okay? 6, what's the number of the beast? 9. What's a 6? It's a 9. 2018, that's 666. And 8 is your portal. They're telling you right here, see the magic. But don't worry, it's not witchcraft. It has nothing to do with us worshiping Lucifer. Don't worry. So, before I get on with the movie Decode, and if you're watching this long, I'm glad that you stayed, because this information is important, and you're not going to want to miss this Decode. But this is a site called Vaca Impact, which I'm not going to bother saying that word. I'm trying to keep this video online. So we read here, Sound of Freedom's movie allegedly funded by billionaire philanthropists with ties to human driving. Oh, so I know it says allegedly, but stay tuned here. It says that these billionaire philanthropists who funded this movie are the ones who do the things that this movie's about. And here we all know this woman. This is Hillary Clinton, who we know has ties to this stuff. And this is Carlos Slim. This is a Mexican drug lord, Mexican billionaire. Same with John Paul DeJoria. This guy right here. And his wife. And a CIA operative. What's this have to say? We can now remove the word allegedly from the headline of this article. Kevin J. wrote to me, what a ridiculous article. Conclusions are based on allegedly and might have ties to this or that, and guilt by association darts. So a guy who allegedly helped fund the film, in other words, rumor has it, might have ties to cartels and the Clintons? No evidence anywhere this guy helped fund the movie. Here you go, Kevin. This is an interview on Fox 13 in Utah 5 years ago. See, you guys, this movie's been around for 5 years. And Tim Ballard himself names both Mexican billionaires, Carlos Slim and billionaire John Paul DeJoria, as the ones who funded the original production of the film. So, let's have a look.
Who's paying for this movie to come about?
I think Jim's. Aren't you footing the bill? A great group of people have come together to invest in this production. Some of them, the Carlos Slim family is involved.
Really?
From Mexico. John Paul DeJoria.
Fox has helped distributing it.
Really?
Yeah, Fox, Century Fox.
And for the folks who don't know who Carlos Slim is, tell them who he is.
He's one of the wealthiest men in the world. Telecommunications in Mexico, Latin America. His son Patrick is the real the point of contact for that. He's very passionate about what we're doing and fighting trafficking. And then there's several other groups that have come in to invest in this picture, and it's the people that have invested in it are true believers in what we're doing, and they are this is not just a movie, it's a movement. And they want to continue pushing that movement forward.
Okay, that's all I can stomach from this liar, this deceiver. So there you have it. Out of his own mouth. These drug lord cartel members, who we all know do a lot of driving, are the ones who funded this movie, which was finished in 2018. I saw the grim trial driving movie that is filling theaters. We come to this place for magic, says Nicole Kidman. For magic, right? Because they're putting a spell on you, right? Hollywood is casting a spell on you. It's magic. They're bringing you into a portal. They're giving you a belief system. Despite pulling in a much hyped $40 million in its first 7 days. What's 4 times 7? That's 28. 8. The movie was completed in 2018. That's 666. This is everywhere, you guys. It's everywhere. Sound of Freedom often captured on video for use as promotional material. Promotional material. To do what? To get money for his 501c3 Operation Underground Railroad. And they told you they needed crowdsourcing to put this movie out, but it was finished 5 years ago. They make $100 million a year. I hope you guys can see this is all just a lie. If you tell one lie, how can you believe anything they say? In 2020, Vice concluded from an extensive investigation of Ballard and Hour that the specific stories the group told of liberating children from these drivers were intensely cinematic, bold, heroic, and extremely difficult to fact-check. The movie is a little nondescript, but that only makes it a better vehicle for other people's messages. And if you're against the anti-child driving movie, what does that make you? See? It's all about creating a divide. That's why it's vague. That's why it doesn't give any real... That's why it doesn't mention Satanism or the people at the top or what's being harvested, because they want you to argue about it. We believe this movie has the power to be a huge step forward towards ending child driving, he went on, but it will only have that effect if millions of people see it. This is what Jim Caviezel said. Okay? It's only going to have that effect if millions of people see it. They're getting millions and millions of people to, number one, go see this movie, but most importantly, to fall into this honey trap where they've now given their information, which means that the government now has a list. If you went to see this movie, believe me when I tell you, you are on a list. More information is continuing to surface about the people behind the box office hit movie, Sound of Freedom. As I wrote in my original critique of the film, in fact, this movie is becoming so popular on the big screen is proof that the elite are not censoring it, as so many of the right-wing Christian alternative medias are claiming. Sound of Freedom falls short of revealing who the ones doing the driving of the kids is and how to stop it. While we're here, let's just go to YouTube. We'll do a search for Sound of Freedom. Okay. Watch and learn. 4.6 million views on their official trailer. Okay? 180,000 about Marjorie Taylor Greene firing back against it. 11,000. Sound of Freedom's Insane Coincidence. 4.3 million. Oh, that's the trailer. 1.5 million. Encountering God and Sound of Freedom. Haha. Yeah, his God, Satan. 1.5 million. Why Hollywood Elites Don't Want You to Watch, 5.5 million. Sound of Freedom official trailer number 2, 4.2 million. Tim Ballard talking about Sound of Freedom on Fox News, 2.8 million. Jim Caviezel, The Story of the Media Won't Tell You, 2,500. 1.4 million. 4.1 thousand, 1.5 million, 892,000, 76,000, 221,000. Look at all these, you guys. Do you seriously think that it's being censored? Really? Who's censoring it? Because YouTube is the most censory website platform there is, who's owned by Google and Alphabet, who this guy I showed you earlier, the guy this movie is about, went and spoke at Google about these things. So this is a psyop, you guys. Who's censoring Tim Ballard? Who's censoring this movie? Who's censoring anything? Look at the views these things get. Millions and millions and millions, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Just look. This is what is consuming people right now. Okay? All to hide one thing. This. 57 banks. 57. You know what that is? 5G. And financial institutions certified for FedNow instant payments. Fed president admits withdrawals can be limited. Look, you guys. Withdrawals can be limited. Limited. That means you won't be able to take your money out. They can shut your account down. The Federal Reserve announced its 57 early adopter organizations, blah, 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 in advance of its launch in late July. So it says that in addition to the initial adopters, the Federal Reserve continues to work with onboard financial institutions and service providers planning to join later in 2023 and beyond as the initial step to growing a robust network aimed at reaching all 10,000 U.S. financial institutions. All of them, you guys. All of them. Here's a list of organizations that have already signed on to FedNow. Now, I'm not going to read it, but I will scroll down by it, and you can see if your bank's on there, or your bank's parent company. Okay? This is important. This is your time to stand up. This is your time to go into your bank and say that you do not want to take part in this thing, that you do not want your information shared. All right, this is a government-run money. Okay, there'll be no more money. Everything is going to be a number. The FedNow service will be deployed in phases with the initial launch taking place July 2023. Well, July's almost over. Do you hear millions and millions and millions and millions of people making content about this? You do not. But throw Oprah and Sound of Freedom in there, and you can't get them to shut up. Toss a little Mel Gibson on top for good luck. Now, get this. Cleveland Federal Reserve President Loretta Mesters admits that banks can limit withdrawals via FedNow to avoid banking crisis. You guys aren't going to believe this. She said that it will be up to users of FedNow themselves to use transfer limits. Banks have the tools they could use to mitigate large outflows of deposits, including limiting how much money can be moved over a given period, restricting who can use the system. The firms can determine which direction money can flow in real time. Mesters said in a speech at the National Bureau of Economic Research, Sumner Institute. So they can limit you or even restrict you from using the system. Okay? And They want it. This is why they say they need to do this, so banks have tools that they could use to mitigate large outflows of deposits. Okay, if you're doing away with money, just think about this logically for 1 second. If you're doing away with cash, and everything is going to be an instant digit on a screen, and there will be no money, why do you need to mitigate large outflows of deposits? It's just numbers moving from one place to another on this instant network. Why could you possibly need to stop this from happening? If we go back up here, it says that the U.S. Central Bank's new real-time money system is being designed in a way that should help ensure financial stability should bank stress arise. What stress? So, they want to use this fake problem that doesn't exist. Okay, if the banks can function with cash and credit card payments right now, why would they need to shut the system down and restrict it and mitigate large outflows to avoid problems with an instant payment system that is supposed to be far superior to what we have now? Understand the importance of this. This is just to sugarcoat it, because the people with no discernment, the people who are not saved, are going to love this. They're going to be like, oh, I can get my check a day earlier, or oh, I could do this and that, and I can just instant payment. Not understanding that this is the beast system. The people who are under the Psyop of Bitcoin and all these privacy coins and decentralized, they think that they're going to build these things up and they're going to have a chance at fighting this system. But what they don't get is that they created this system. This is blockchain. Blockchain. Slavery. Okay? This is a ledger that can never be undone. And people think that it is secure and private. But believe me when I tell you that they know everybody doing everything. How do you think they go after people that have been using Bitcoins for certain things and avoiding taxes? Because they know exactly who you are. You have a Bitcoin wallet on your phone. Your phone has a phone number. Your phone number is connected to you. Even if you use a anonymous thing like Straight Talk, you still have an email address. You still send texts to people on your contact list who the government most certainly has, most of them, who can isolate and could see who you are. From your home Wi-Fi network to where your phone goes, they know where you live. Nothing is private. Privacy is an illusion to make you believe that you're free and that you have a chance at escaping this coming system so that when it comes, they can crush you. People need to be ready for this, and they're not. Future releases of the FedNow service may allow configurable transaction limits by customer type if such limits are deemed useful. They're straight up telling you, by customer type, which means that if you are in opposition to this system, they can shut your money down. Don't you remember what Canada did to the truckers when they protested the vax? The people who were donating, they shut down their accounts. Yeah, it's time to wake up, people. This is what's really important, because this is being used to enslave us. And how ironic that while people are arguing over the sound of freedom, the sound of enslavement is being silenced. I wonder how the Federal Reserve is defining customer type. Setting the stage for bank failures and rollout of FedNow, U.S. government warns consumers not to keep money in Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. Pay attention to this. This is important. The Fed is basically warning you ahead of time that you are going to lose that money if you keep it there. And sure enough, Cleveland Federal Reserve President Loretta Mester did address this issue in her update on FedNow yesterday, stating that it may seem more efficient to have fewer rails for smaller transaction payments. With the Federal Reserve's rollout of FedNow real-time payment service expected by the end of the month, a regional Federal Reserve Bank officially on Wednesday outlined a roadmap for the new network that includes network interoperability and a possible addition of peer-to-peer payments and overall the prospect of fewer payment systems overall. So they're telling you right here that they're going to take over. While predicting that volume, particularly time-sensitive payments, will shift to FedNow, Mester conceded existing payment systems could play a role as alternatives to FedNow network when needed. Yeah, this is the little icing on the cake they give you, right? They polish a turd. They give you a pile of crap and then they put frosting on it so that it looks good. Are Mester's comments about peer-to-peer payments a warning to existing apps like PayPal, Venmo, and others? They better link to the new FedNow system or be eliminated. So even if you have these, this is telling you right here, even if you have these decentralized systems or these private systems, that they're going to have to be part of FedNow or they will be eliminated. I showed you earlier how the FedNow is going to take over all financial institutions. Not most, not some, all. And this gets even worse. Keep watching. While she added that FedNow at the start will not have a directory function needed to undergird a P2P, which is peer-to-peer service, there are alternative approaches, she said. Instead, a bank could use a private sector directory to access routing information in order to transmit alias-based payments on FedNow, Mester noted. The Fed is looking at various approaches to provide alias-based payments as a way to enhance the FedNow service in the future. Now, this is just more frosting on that steaming pile. So, listen to this. When private banks and financial institutions, including existing payment apps, decide to become part of FedNow, will they be required to send all account information of their customers doing business with them? Yes, apparently they will, based on Operating Circular 1, OC1, a document on the Federal Reserve website under Rules and Regulations and Resources. In that document, Section 6.0 deals with Federal Reserve Bank Response Program for unauthorized access to sensitive consumer information obtained in the course of providing financial services. Section 6.1, the Reserve Bank's possession and use of consumer information. The Reserve Banks do not hold accounts for individuals and do not provide Reserve Bank services to individuals. In the course of providing financial services to depository institutions and other authorized users of the Reserve Bank services, the Reserve Banks obtain, store, and transmit information that includes sensitive consumer information. Under the general supervision of the Board of Governors, the Reserve Bank have implemented information security measures designed to protect the security and confidentiality of non-public personnel obtained by them, to protect against any anticipated threats or hazards to the security or integrity of such information, to protect against unauthorized access or to use or reuse of such information that could result in substantial harm or inconvenience to a depository institution's customer. So this sounds all well and good, right? Like they're going to have an anonymous thing. They're going to make it so that they can protect you. Well, more icing. Let's read this. In other words, the Fed needs all of your sensitive information to protect you from hackers. What is that sensitive consumer information? Section 6.2 defines that. Sensitive consumer information means a consumer name, address, telephone number, in conjunction with the consumer's social security number, driver's license number, account number, credit or debit card number, or personal identification number, or a password that would permit access to the consumer's account if the Reserve Bank or any other party that holds sensitive consumer information as an agent of the Reserve Bank obtains such information in the course of providing financial services. How convenient! So when they are ready to roll out CBDCs and establish an account for you at the Federal Reserve, they will already know everything about you and will be able to open an account for you, even if you choose not to participate. If your bank was already participating in the FedNow program. This will save months, if not years, in trying to collect this data in order to implement CBDCs. Enrollment in the FedNow Instant Payment Program is voluntary at this point, so now is the time to start asking questions of your bank and other financial institutions if they are on the above list and have already been certified to participate in FedNow. Let them know that you choose not to participate in any of these instant payment services that utilize FedNow and that you do not consent to them handing over your account information to the Federal Reserve. They don't want you to see this. They don't want you to know this. This is why this Psyop is taking place. What I have just read to you is the rise of the beast system, and it is coming, and it is here. The groundwork is being laid. Banks are already participating. How long do you think you have? Not long. Not long at all. Kamala is going to come in before Joe's term is up. There will never be another election in this country. You don't have to believe me. That's irrelevant. I'm telling you this stuff to warn you, okay? This has already been exposed by God to warn his people with discernment who understand God's truth is different than the world's truth, who can see through the veil. There won't be an election. Kamala Harris is going to be the next president, and she will not be elected. This stuff is happening. This is the beast system rising, and if you think that you can stop it, you are out of your mind. All you can do is try to protect yourself and your family, and the best way to do that is to be saved through the Lord Jesus so that you can start to see the stuff that I'm showing you. I just want to show you one more thing to seal the deal. Where do people go to sell their soul to the devil? Robert Johnson, born May 8th, that's 58 in the year 9/11, died August 16th, which is 888. In 1938, which is 3/8, is a legendary musician who is rumored to have sold his soul to the devil at a crossroads in Mississippi in exchange for his unique musical gifts. The crossroads of Highway 61 and 49 is where Johnson allegedly sold his soul to the devil in exchange for his musical genius. So this is a term that is used for where you go to sell your soul to the devil, and many people have gone to the crossroads. There are many stories about people going to the crossroads to sell your soul. Why is this so important? Because this is a toolkit for the FedNow CBDC system, and it's called Crossroads Finance Blocks, designed specifically for financial institutions embarking on their FedNow instant payment adoption journey. Crossroads Finance Blocks are a set of tools that banks and credit unions can deploy to expedite their adoption of the FedNow instant payment system. A toolkit to sell your soul. By deploying the Crossroads engine for the FedNow service, a financial institution will be able to take advantage of all or a custom selection of the available FedNow capabilities. Aside from supporting all the FedNow capabilities that will be available at launch, the platform-agnostic Crossroads engine for the FedNow service provides a programmable interface which will enable financial institutions to seamlessly integrate their existing software stack with the Crossroads engine for the FedNow service and quickly start leveraging FedNow service capabilities. This is a fancy way of saying that even if the feds aren't going to launch a program that will be able to shut off your currency, that the private banks will be able to shut off your currency, which is the same things the feds did with the vax. They separated themselves from private companies and allowed private companies to do what they wanted to do while they sat back and watched, knowing that it was them that pressured the companies to do this. But this gives an air gap in between them and the financial institutions so that when we want to complain to the government, they can blame the straw man. Notice it says that it provides a programmable interface. They're going to be able to change all the rules. So what they're telling you is not what you're going to get. So I just wanted to share that with you real quick. Now, let's get on with the decode. Okay, so here we are in the decode. So I am going to go through this. As I said, I will not be showing any images from the movie or any clips to avoid any copyright, because this movie is heavily protected whether or not you can admit it. So let's get started. I will, however, show you some web pages and some things as we go through. 2 minutes into the movie, you are watching a woman grooming an 11-year-old girl in her living room, and she goes to get her father because she's being told that she can be a model. And so her father comes out into the living room. The woman hands him like pamphlets and is trying to get him to bring her to a hotel room tomorrow to have pictures taken and get her modeling career started. While this is taking place, the girl's little brother walks in holding a soccer ball, and he says nothing. He just stands there. So, what is the significance of the soccer ball? Here's a picture of a soccer ball. It has 32 panels, okay? Which 3 times 2 is 6, but it's also 23 backwards, which is half human. This is about possession. Soccer is one of the most evil sports that God hates the most. He hates all of them, but soccer is the worst. So why is the soccer ball significant? Take a look at the pattern. See how it's a hexagon and a pentagon, and a hexagon and a pentagon? Well, let me show you a molecule that looks just like a soccer ball. And it's called, we'll call it Chromedrino. But you can see on your screen what it is. And if you look up Chromedrino's molecule structure, you will see that it is a hexagon connected to a pentagon. And it then repeats itself over and over and over. Hexagon, pentagon, hexagon, pentagon. Just like this. Hexagon, pentagon, hexagon, pentagon, hexagon, pentagon. This is demonic symbolism for Chromedrino. Make no mistake, I'm showing you the proof of that right now. And why was the boy quiet when he walked in with the Chromedrino? Isaiah 53:7. He was oppressed, he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before his shearers is dumb. So he openeth not his mouth. This is the symbolism The boy is being led to his slaughter because they want to harvest Chromedrino from him. This is all within the first 2 minutes. Grooming Chromedrino and being silent because he knew that he was going to be slaughtered. 2 minutes, you guys, in. 2 minutes. And I've already seen this. So let's continue. Her father then takes them and drops them both off in room 204. Okay? 2 times 4 is 8. So he brings them to this room. He's not allowed to go in. So they go through this portal. And when he comes back and he goes through the portal, they're gone. After the first op where it shows Jim and his partners busting people, or busting a person, who is one of these things, which I cannot say, but I will call them perps from this moment on. So when Jim's partner asks him how many perps he's busted, he says 288. Now, keep in mind, they could have said any number, but there we go, 288. If you do 2 times 88, that is 176. 17 is 17, and 6, which is 9. 2 88s. All right, now keep in mind, all throughout this decode, that they do not need to put this stuff on the screen. They have opportunities to use any numbers they want on the license plates, on the case number, on the minute marker, on the van, on everything I'm going to show you. They don't even have to show these scenes. So when they're showing you these numbers, they're for a reason. And it is the discernment and the guidance of the Holy Spirit that wakes me up to these reasons so that I can bring them to you, so that you can see this movie is bad, bad, bad. While he is entering the evidence from busting the last perp into the record, it shows that he's watching a video. And the case number is 19-0723-1138. So you have 19, which is the Metonic cycle, a spell. You have 723, which is 237, which is the Antichrist cage. Okay? You have 113, which 11 times 3 is 33. And then you have 8, which is the portal. So, here you have the Metonic cycle, the spell of the Antichrist cage, with the 33 Masonic number bringing you through this portal. They did not have to use this number. They could have made up any number they wanted, but this is the number they gave. And at that same scene where you see this case number, you see this timestamp. 1 hour, 14 seconds, and 8 milliseconds. 1 plus 1 is 2, times 4 is 8. That's 88. Okay, once again, they don't have to show these numbers. They don't have to show these scenes. They could have put any number in there they wanted. So the scene pans and goes to another angle. Now when it goes back to showing the screen again, he starts the video, but it's further back than it was when they first showed it. So that means it went back to the future. So the timestamp then was 1 hour, 13 seconds, and 17 milliseconds. Here you have your 113. So there's your 33 and your 17. Okay? Masonic and Q. They're showing you who they worship. Okay? There are butterflies everywhere throughout this movie. That's Monarch mind programming. Okay? The Monarch is mind programming. When he busted the first perp, he decided to set him up on actually getting a child. And the first perp that was busted wrote a book called Apollodorus. What is Apollodorus? Apollodorus. It means a gift of Apollo. Why did they put this in this movie? These are things you're going to have to decide on your own. I can only show you what I've found. It's up to you and your discernment and your relationship with the Holy Spirit to either take it in and believe it, or you disregard it and live in the matrix. All right, when he's busting the second perp, because this guy was going to give him a little one, as I said. So then the setup is made, and when he goes to bust the second perp, he's driving that boy over the border in a Ford van E350. That's 58, which we discovered is the Antichrist Apollo number 58, because he's the fifth head and will be the eighth in Revelation 17, who is on the cover of this video. Okay? Why is it 58? Because the Ford van is model E, which is 5, and 3 and 5 is 8. 58. Plate number is JE49979. Now, I watched this movie. There was no reason to show the rear end of this van. No reason to show the license plate. None whatsoever. So if we break it down, the JE equals 15 because J is 10 and E is 5. So that's 15, which is 555, which equals 666. Why does 555 equal 666? I know most of you probably know this, but let me just break it down just in case anybody's news watching. 555, that's a Roman numeral for V, and the Roman numeral V, Vav, is the sixth letter of the Hebrew alphabet. That is one way that 555 is 666, because Vav, Vav, Vav is 666. Another way, 555 feet is 6,660 inches. There's a third way, but it's escaping me right now. So you have your 666, you have 47 spirit possession, and then you have 999. That's what this license plate says, 666-47999. You can't make this stuff up, you guys. This movie is worse than Hollywood, which I'm assuming it is from Hollywood. I think this whole argument between Angel Studios and Hollywood is just to make the movie stand out more, so that people pay attention to it more, so that people don't pay attention to what's really going on. When the kid is reunited with his dad at the airport, there's a long, huge scene where they're hugging, which is understandable. Okay, but then the angle changes for a moment, and they're standing between these two airport pillars, and each one of them has an H on them. HH is 88. So they're standing in between 88. When the father's in the daughter's room because she's still missing the boy's sister, there are 3 stars on the wall. Well, stars have 5 points. That's 555, which is another 666. Jim's rental car, when he's in Mexico, has the plate number CEN 283. CEN is 3514. 2A3 is 213. A is 1. If you add those together, that's 28. 2 8s, 88. There's so much. There's no arguing this stuff. In the scene where he is trying to get funding for a sting operation he's trying to set up, he says that there's been a 5,000 increase over the last 5 years. 5,000%. 5, 5, 5. And this is a quote from the movie. He literally says that the driving operation has had a 5,000% increase over the last 5 years. 5,000, he says. Just like that. That's 555. He also said that you can sell a 5-year-old 5 to 10 times. That's 5, 5, and 5. In 10 years. This stuff is crazy. When they set up the sting on an island for rich and powerful, like you know who, initials are J.E., who supposedly committed suicide or is dead, which I completely don't believe. I think that's just another psyop. But anyways, when they brought these little ones to the island, they rescued 54 of them. 54, which is not only 45, oh Mr. Trump, but it's also Jim Caviezel, who just happens to be 54 this year. 54, that's 9. That's the number of the beast. This movie was made and finished in 2018. But just so happens that this year, he's 54. And they rescue 54 kids. And the movie's released 19 years after he played Christ. These connections are real. This is how they build the Matrix. This is why the world is asleep. Okay, so they find out that the girl that they're looking for, because she wasn't one of those 54, is in the jungle in rebel territory, which no one goes to. Not the cops, not the military, nobody. It's rebel territory. It's dangerous. They'll kill you. So they have an idea to pose as doctors. And don't forget, doctors swear an oath to Apollo, who brings the sickness and the cure, and they decide to be doctors and fake an epidemic. They're faking an epidemic, you guys. Okay? The year before, 2019, this movie was finished, so this was before COVID. And here they are having doctors fake an epidemic. It gets even deeper. As they're getting ready to head out into the jungle, the cop that's working with them says he can only bring them so far. But before they head out, the cop gives them each a syringe. And he says, keep this on you. You can put it in your wallets or you can inject it. Jim says, is this GPS? And the other guy said, it's so they can find our bodies. There's 2 fangs of the serpent. Each one of them is given a syringe. There's 2 of them. That's the 2 fangs of the serpent. That's mixing the iron with clay. Technology. Is this GPS? Jim said. So they're telling you right there that what's in the syringes is technology, so that they can find you and know where you are at all times, because they work for the serpent. Okay? So now, these 2 guys are on their way to rebel territory, and they are bringing with them 3 coolers full of vaccines to the base by boat. So they're on a river, and they got these coolers because they're posing as the doctors, right? Apollo, faking the sickness, and they're bringing the cure down because they're going to look for this little girl because the rebels have children. So they're stopped on the river by the rebels, and the rebels said that only one of them can go. So Jim goes, and they load in the 3 boxes, or the 3 coolers full of the vaccinations into the boat with the rebels. And the rebels take him and the vaccinations to go find the children and rescue the girl. So that might not seem like much to you. But when I say this, your whole perspective will change. You have 2 guys posing as doctors, issuing a fake epidemic, going to find children with vaccines. They're going after the children with vaccines. Do you get it? 2 guys faking that they're doctors who work and worship Apollo are going after the children with vaccines. I hope you can see how spiritually dark this movie actually is. Keep in mind, this movie was finished a year before COVID. Now, I would not suggest watching this movie, giving your money to these people, anything like that. But if you do watch it, then you keep an eye out for all this stuff that I just showed you, because it's all in there. And what I've told you it means is what it means. They didn't have to show any of these things. None of it. But they were all in there. This movie started being made in 2017 and was finished in 2018 before the fake epidemic that breached reality in 2019 so that they could stick everybody with 2 fangs of the serpent, and they go after the little ones, because if they can get the little ones, they can get the mom. If they can get the mom, they can get the dad. If they can get the dad, they can remove the crown from the whole family. Don't forget that when Apollo came off the scene, he had a bow and a crown was given to him. He went out conquering and to conquer with his crown, the corona. All right, guys, that was the presentation. I pray that you made it to the end. I know it was a lot to get through, but this message is so important, and I had to do it justice by the Lord. These things needed to be said, the stuff needed to be exposed, and I hope that you received it with open eyes and open ears. And I pray that the Lord puts this into your understanding and releases His wisdom into you through this video. I thank you for watching to the end, and I ask you to share this video. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, you should subscribe, because we're moving into dark, dark times, and they are coming quick. And I am one person who the Lord has raised up in these last days to bring His truth to the people who will receive it, because I will not hold back, and I will say whatever needs to be said. That is my mission, that is my goal, and that is what I will do, because I'm not interested in pleasing people's ears. I'm interested in saving people's souls. So thanks again, and until next time, take care. If you've come to the end of this video, and you need to be saved, then I stress to you that there is no better time than right now. Do not wait. Okay? So if this is you, please join me in saying this prayer. Lord Jesus, I have been living in sin. I know now that I am a sinner and that I need a Savior. I believe that you are the Christ, and that you gave your life and precious blood, and was raised on the 3rd day by God, to wash away past sins of those who would believe in you and all that you do. I am a sinner in need of saving. Lord, please save me. I have not been holy, but I want to be. Please come into my life and teach me your ways, so that I may join you in the kingdom. Thank you. Amen.